And a man that had a big game on Sunday is a friend of the show. He joined us in studio before he was finding out what NFL team he was going to get drafted by out of Florida State, and that's Braden Fiske, who, by the way, had not only one, but 2 sacks in the contest up against the Seahawks, and he's kind enough to join us right now. Braden, appreciate the time. How you been, my man?
I'm doing a lot better now. Appreciate you having me back on the show. And, we had a good conversation back there. I believe it was March, and yeah, like you said, I had no idea where I was going. Now I'm sitting in Los Angeles, California, playing for the Rams. So it's been a pretty good event so far.
Yeah, and it was so cool because when you got drafted, you knew that you were going to be teammates with someone that you know very well from your time at Florida State with Jared Verse. Just kind of take me back to that moment when, hey, it's like, okay, I'm going to the Rams, and I know I'm going to start my NFL career with one of my football brothers in Jared Verse.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so much has happened, all at one time on draft day. And, I get that call and I see the Los Angeles number, and I had taken a 30 visit to the Chargers earlier. So I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to the Chargers. And then he said, oh, this is Les Snead with the Rams. And then everything just starts slowly clicking. Oh, all right, going to LA. Oh, Jared just went to LA. Like, yeah, I mean, everything just started kind of, happening real quick. But I think, once the realization set in, like, I'm playing with Verse again, it was just cool because, I think going into a new situation, I mean, a whole new locker room, having some familiarity with somebody is just helpful. And me walking the building, you have somebody to go to, if things get tough or whatever. But, I think it's also been, good from a competition standpoint of even to this point in the season of like, hey, like we're constantly like, hey, like I'm not going to make it easy on you, for this race for, whatever we're trying to get to. But, just every day in the building, we're constantly, going at each other for certain things. But no, it's been awesome so far, and I'm just grateful to have him, out there on the field with me. And like I said, the competition aspect of it's kind of been the biggest part of just, I see him doing something that makes me work a little bit harder, and vice versa. And I think that's probably the most beneficial part of our careers, even dating back to Florida State. Of that's kind of how I think we both got into this position in the first place, is just competing back at Florida State, and kind of recognizing what we had, but also, I'm not going to let him outwork me too.
So you're not ready to just say, hey, Jared, if the Rookie of the Year is given out, it's definitely going to be you. You're still trying to make a case to maybe take some votes away from him is what you're saying.
I mean, that's still down the road. We got a lot to accomplish, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't in the back of my head sometimes when I see him get a sack or two,
Well, I did pick him before the year start to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year, so I hope Braden Fiske isn't mad at me for that. But either way, both of you have really made a quick transition to the NFL. What is it about your time together, what you see from one another, why you both could get to the NFL and not only be asked to play, but, really contribute to getting this Rams team to where they need to be?
Yeah, I think early on, even in OTAs and training camp, you kind of get that glimpse of, okay, this is what it could look like. I mean, you're going against NFL players, so you finally get that first initial of like, okay, this is where I stand. Physically, mentally, my football knowledge. And I think, both of us, there's been some rough patches. It hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows on this side. I mean, there were some learning curves, and especially early on in the season, I think, teams were able to attack some of the weaknesses that, we both had. And I think that was just like a learning curve for us to, okay, like this is where we got to get better at. This is where teams are attacking us. And like, there's a lot of self-realization and a lot of, just kind of figuring out this is where we have to get better if we want to succeed. And I think after that bye week is kind of where, at least for me personally, started to turn around of, just getting more comfortable out there, getting a better feel for the, just the flow of the game. Cause, week to week things change as far as like game plan and scheme. So, just settling into, figuring out, what offenses are really trying to do to us on the field. And, it's we're on a good way right now, and I feel good about the preparation and kind of what we both put into it as far as just what we see out there, especially third down. That's kind of like the money making down of let's get after the quarterback. And we got a good package out there. I mean, not just me and Jared. I mean, Kobe Turner's out there with us, Byron Young, Michael Hoy, and we got other guys that rotate in that have been awesome. So it's a group effort, but there was definitely a learning curve. It wasn't great just from the start, so we definitely had to hit some rough passes to get to where we are now.
Yeah, and for so many years, right, Aaron Donald was the standard in this league and the standard in that organization, and not one person's going to be able to replace Aaron Donald. You need all 11 guys to do that. Is that kind of a challenge that was presented your way that, like, you're like, okay, we feel the pressure. We know we all got to do our 1/11th in order to try to replace that production and that presence of one Aaron Donald?
Yeah, I think it's obvious that right, 99 is not in the building, and everyone knows, everyone understands that. But at the same time, we're coming into the league. We're also trying to make our mark as well. You never want to discredit what possibly the greatest ever. In my eyes, I think he's probably the greatest ever played the game has done. But at the same time, I want to be able to step in. I know Jared wants to be able to step in. Kobe and BY are still trying to make their mark in the NFL as well. So I think when you got four guys that are hungry, and then you add everybody else in, the guys that are hungry trying to make their mark. I mean, I think our rush and just our run defense, everything has just gotten better. And you can never forget what Aaron Donald did, but we want to step in there and be able to say, hey, like we can still be a really great defense, a really great pass rush. And, the dip doesn't have to be what everyone thinks it's going to be.
And you guys put on a heck of a performance, right? Even when Geno was driving the ball at times, you guys were able to pick him off a few times late. And then in overtime, if they get the ball and go right down the field, the game's over if they score a touchdown. That 4th-and-1 stop was massive. Just how about what that does for a defense's confidence?
Yeah, man, 100%. Even the down before, I mean, it's 3rd-and-1. We get them to 4th-and-1, and then it's a matter of, are they going to bring the field goal team out? Are they going to bring the offense out? And sure enough, that offense trots out. They're trying to get to the big personnel, and you kind of look around, and from the outside looking in, we're a young defense, but I think we're all out on the field. Like, yeah, come on, like bring that offense out here. Give us another chance. And I think that's kind of been the big. The big emphasis on our defense is make them snap it again. Make them snap that ball one more time. And anything can happen. And sure enough, they tried us out there, and hey, the defense stepped up. We got the offense the ball back, and give Matt Stafford the ball with with an opportunity to score. I like our chances there. So I think that's just our big thing of our defense. We're a young defense. We get along well. We're energized. We all, we're just out there flying around. I think that's the most fun part about it. So yeah, 4th-and-1, we got it done. That was huge, especially going forward for confidence with this defense. I mean, you feel kind of unstoppable at times, but it's been a learning curve. So I'm just glad to see where we've made it to this point.
Were you surprised that they elected to go for it there and they just didn't kick the field goal, Seattle?
It wasn't really a matter of surprise. It was just, I think it was just, what are they gonna do? Like, whichever they do, we'll adapt, we'll overcome it. And I think, I don't think anyone wants to put Matt Stafford back out on the field, with an opportunity to win the game. So I think, they probably made the right decision to try to, put the game in their hands and win the game. But like I said, good teams, find attack adversity. And I think, like you said, they drove down the field and they put us in a pretty scary situation of where we had to get a stop, and we overcame it. So I'm just really proud of our guys for being on the field for that.
Last week was the week of just ridiculous catches. When you see the game-winning touchdown, how did you kind of process that one, Braden Fiske?
Oh man, it was just all going crazy. I mean, just mayhem on the field. People running around, yelling at fans. Because Seattle's a tough place to play. Their fans are pretty ruthless out there, and we're just jawing at the fans. Everyone's running around. It's just chaos. But I don't know. We knew when the offense ran out in that field, and they made that catch to get a first down. Getting closer to 50. Yeah, we got it. Like it's our game now. You could just feel the momentum. You could feel the crowd get quiet. And that's when I was like, yeah, we got this in the bag, and it felt good. And yeah, the catch is added to the whole chaos of the entire game. I mean, so much happened. We think we got a steal. They block a punt. It just it was insane just how everything unfolded. It was a great finish.
And that was a real tough win for you guys. And I think it shows what this team is capable of. And I know you guys have had to go through a lot of injuries this year, but even with Puka coming back, he gets ejected, which I didn't love the call. But it doesn't seem like anything really breaks this team, because there could have been moments this year, Braden, where this team, could have already been broken and, have such an even bigger hole to kind of dig themselves out of.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think, with the mix of, young talent and also the veterans that we have in the locker room that have done this before, I think, the biggest driving force to the team is, fighting through adversity. I mean, like you said earlier in the show, we started out 1-4. We hit the bye week, and I was like, all right, where do we stand? And, we had to make a decision when we came back of who we were going to be going forward. And, I think just between the vet leadership that we have on our team, with the Matthew Staffords, even like Kobe Turner, he's a great leader on our team. Rob Havingstein, guys that have been in this league and have done this before. I mean, just being around those guys and seeing, hey, when we get back from this bye, like, we're going to take this to a whole nother level. And, we're on a 3-game, it was 1 game at a time. We're on the third of, the games of, we've been back off the bye, we're 3-0 off the bye. So, it's just kind of building off that, how do we stack that? How do we continue to grow? And, I think each week is, it's a new week to attack, another team. And that's one thing I've learned, being in this league so far is, every week counts, every play counts. Like, they got really good players on their side of the ball too. They get paid money too. So, I mean, every week's a toss up, but, whoever, comes out there ready to fight and just has that mentality, I think, we got a good chance.
Yeah, and a few weeks ago, right, there was a lot of speculation about Cooper Kupp getting traded. Even there was one wild report out there about Matthew Stafford getting traded. Like, everyone gave up on you guys. In the locker room, I know you guys try to ignore the noise, but you guys are human. You hear it. Like, Cooper had to respond about it. I talked to Puka Nacua about it on the show. Did people doubting you guys kind of maybe pull a little something extra out of this team to get you guys back to 4-4?
Yeah, I mean, I think a little bit of that, always plays a part. I mean, like you said, you always try to, in your meetings, your team meetings, and say, hey, like, you got to block out the outside noise. You can't listen to what's out there because it's always people are always going to be feeding, the fire, fueling the fire. Of, oh, the Rams are done. They're going to completely evacuate and trade. But I think internally we were saying, hey, like, we're still a really good football team. Like, we know what good football is, and we got the right guys to do it. And I think. Like from our young player standpoint, we're all starting to get a little grasp of the NFL and starting to try to make our mark and just growing and learning, getting better. So you add that to what we already have. Yeah, I mean, I think we saw it as an opportunity, to really attack this thing and coming off the bye, getting fresh, getting healthy, like you said. Well, yeah, like just start with one. Let's win this game. We'll move on. We'll just keep growing from there. So I'm excited going forward. I mean, I got a lot of faith in this team and a lot of faith in the guys I go to work with. So I'm excited.
And I've been around the league long enough. I know how this works. 1 week, right, and the team's going to be trading everybody and Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford. And then a few weeks later, just wait. At one point, there will be whispers. Will they be able to get Aaron Donald back? Or will Aaron Donald come out of retirement? Has there been any chatter there in the locker room about that possibility?
Definitely not internally. Like, we don't really talk about it in the building, but outside the building, that's all I see. And we have a great game, this past week in Seattle, a great pass rush, and the story is, they don't need AD, 1 week if we don't have a good pass rush, they're missing the greatest of all time. It goes back and forth, and you hear both sides of it, but no, I haven't talked about it much. We like the young core that we're working with. Like I said earlier, we're trying to make our mark as well. So, we're however it shakes out, we're going to just keep going to work.
Yeah, he's not a spotlight guy, Donald. That's why a lot of people love him. Like, he's unbelievable, but he didn't want to be in the spotlight ever. There was one video I saw of him, on the couch sleeping that I guess his wife or girlfriend took of him to make it known hey, he's definitely not coming back. Have you been able to just because of the nature of the Rams and you being on that defensive line, is there any relationship that you have with him? Just wondering.
Yeah, I mean, I got to meet him in when we had the practice, what was the call in August when we practiced against the Cowboys. He came out to one of our joint practices, yeah, and yeah, I got to meet him there. I mean, super good dude. I mean, he didn't show any signs of wanting to be back out there. Seemed like he was enjoying his time off, but I can't speak for the guy. But yeah, I mean, super good dude. He's giving me little pointers. Got to have just some casual conversation with him, and yeah, I mean, awesome guy. I mean, I had a whole lot of respect for him, looking from afar. Even when I was in, high school and middle school, just just somebody you look up to, just, the way he played the game. So, yeah, I mean, that was that was a cool moment to be able to meet him.
So now you guys, Braden Fiske, will turn the page. You're 4-4. You get above 500. You got Miami coming up on Monday, big primetime game. I know they don't have a good record, but, man, they have some serious pieces with Tua and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Got Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane as well. We'll see who's going to play with some of the health concerns. But what do you kind of focus in on? I know you can't tell me the game plan, but, man, there's a lot of talented pieces on that Dolphins offense.
Yeah, I mean, that's like you say, you talk about all the weapons that they got over there. I mean, that's a big focus. I mean, you can't just hone in on one guy like you can some other places, but I mean, they got guys all over the field, so it's a joint effort. I mean, we gotta get half to the ball. I think that's the one focus we're trying to improve on every week is when you got those fast guys that can make guys miss in the open field. I mean, we got to get the big guys running out of the stack. We got to get everybody to the ball, half to the ball, more assisted tackles and solo tackles, kind of the goal. And yeah, I mean, that's a really good team they got over there. I know Tua's back out there, so we're just excited to get after it. I mean, I think we're starting to catch some good fire in our defense, and we're getting into a good groove, so we got to keep that going. I'm really excited to get after it again Monday night. It's gonna be awesome.
I know you had 2 sacks last Sunday. Do you think that was your best game as a pro so far through this first 8-game stretch of your professional career? Was there another game that you maybe thought you were better in?
Uh, I think yeah, that was probably the best, on the stats sheet. I think I've just gotten more and more consistent, as the weeks have gone on. Yeah, I think really since maybe the Chicago Green Bay, games when things really started to click, and I'm just getting more comfortable out there. But yeah, I mean, I think on paper it probably looks the best. But yeah, I'm proud of what I've been able to accomplish so far. But I'm nowhere near where I want to be. So I'm just it's a good little start, but I want to really start to hone this thing in and really attack the run game better and get better in the pass game and really start putting this all together.
Last thing I'll ask you, Braden Fiske on the way out. Rams 4-4. They got the Dolphins coming up on Monday. Stafford for so many years just didn't get his credit. Then eventually, right, gets traded from the Lions, goes to the Rams. They win a Super Bowl. You've only been his teammate for a few months now, but man, he's really started to get his due nationally. Just what impresses you so much, so much being in that locker room with Stafford?
Oh, I mean, he's the real deal. And, I think it's cool to hear from other guys that have been in the NFL and been around other organizations or other quarterbacks, and they come here and say, oh, yeah, like, this guy's legit. Like, you just don't see it. Like, the throws he makes in practice, just the person that he is off the field. I mean, super good dude. It's kind of hard to believe that, he was in college in 2007, 8 in that range, but it's really cool being around him. And, just the way he's able to, take control of the locker room, take control of the team. And like I said, in those big moments, like when he has that ball, there's really no worries. You're on the sideline, like, yeah, Matthew's got it. We're gonna be all right. So, I'm just blessed to be in the position that I'm in to, be in a locker room with somebody like that. I mean, in my eyes, he's a legend, to him, he's still playing football. But, I grew up watching Matthew Stafford, and it's kind of cool, to be in that locker room and just to see it firsthand. And someone throws in practice, you're like, oh my, how is this possible? I mean, even like in the Seahawks game, some of those throws late in the game, like that's top stuff. I mean, that's like the best of the best right there. So I mean, it just doesn't get old, and it's cool to see that it's still, he's still doing it at his age, and that we're just making it happen, getting wins with it.
Well, good health the rest of the way. Keep on kicking ass. We're really happy for your early success, and thanks so much for doing this once again.
Yeah, appreciate you, Zach. Thanks for having me on.